You often hear the expression loosely used, it's time to wake up. Never has the comment been more relevant politically than it is today. We are swamped with ideology which bears no relation to reality. I can cite any number of policy areas, and I will eventually, because this program's not woke, nor is it right-wing. We simply offer views which are common sense. I've talked for years about the ideology behind net zero, and now look where we are today. Exactly where I warned we would be, and it's only going to get worse. This is where misplaced ideology takes you. Power prices in Australia, we're told, will soar by at least 35% in 2023. Alinta is an Australian electricity generating and gas retailing private company. Their CEO told an energy conference yesterday in Sydney, and I quote, "It's horrendous, it's unpalatable. We don't want energy consumers getting their power bills and setting fire to them," unquote. Well, Origin Energy are saying the same thing, and this will flow onto household bills. Yet we are an energy and resource-rich country where ideology has ignored reality. In both parties, I might add. And then we get the voice. It's beyond belief that anyone could begin to argue that there was any justification to constitutionally enshrine a division within Australian society based on race and stick it in the Constitution. In other words, the government of the day, once it's enshrined constitutionally, would be quote-unquote obliged to consult this national voice. As I've asked many times, who consults you about issues that overwhelmingly affect you? But the final report to Parliament on this Indigenous voice opens up by saying that the voice will overcome, quote, the present level of exclusion from decision-making by Indigenous Australians. Well, there are 11 Indigenous Australians in the Parliament. That is 4.8% of the Parliament. 4.8% of Australia's population is about 1.25 million people. There aren't 1.25 million Australians, according to the census, who identify as Aboriginal. So in that sense, Indigenous Australians are overrepresented in the Parliament. They have a big voice, but this voice would exclude other Australians. In our liberal democracy, should some citizens be treated differently from others based on race? Now forget the fact that this voice is meant to be about 24 people. No one knows how they're to be selected and who will vote and how they'll be paid and whether there'll be an electoral roll for the voice based on race, where only one race can vote. Forgive me, this is ideological rubbish. A fundamental principle of the Australian way of life is that every Australian gets the same say over our nation's future. No matter your race, your ethnicity, your religion or your gender, your voice matters equally.